Chapter 12 Desire to be Seen. Another school day passed uneventfully. Akechi attended his classes, listened, and took notes, and in English class wowed his peers by correctly knowing the difference between homophones and homonyms. He wore his best fake smile as he stepped out that day, nodding when the people acknowledged him, but making no effort to approach. They were just faces in a crowd. Their names, their interests, all of it was a blur. But that was fine. The only people who mattered to Akechi existed outside the classroom. So naturally, when he caught Kanji waltzing through the entrance gate, he picked up the pieces to meet his friend. It still felt weird to think of it that way. An actual friend he could depend on. Someone he could be more open and honest with instead of wearing a palatable mask. There was an undeniable spring in his step when Akechi finally caught up with Kanji. Baby, he looked up to him and said, Kanji-san, I've obtained some fascinating information since our last little chat. Kanji chuckled. Oh yeah? Indeed, Narukami-san is a most peculiar person. Akechi stepped aside when some other middle schoolers walked by. Oh, don't mind us. Kazi-san really isn't as intimidating as he appears. Hey, that's... Kazi stopped himself, sighing. Think we ought to find a place to sit down? Perhaps the GNS food court? Just in case Narukami and Mary Band grace us with their presence. Kazi started walking. What seemed to suggest he was in. There's taken, huh? Damn, you're relentless. Following on, Kazi said, But can you blame me, Kazi-san? They keep their escapades so close to the chest. I even offered my assistance, and Narukami-san just assumed I would fail. Sir, it would be easier if you were on the same page. You've been working on that brain non-stop since this whole thing started. Exactly. Our findings could make solving this case definitely easier. But since you won't trust me, we'll just have to find our own way. A frown tugged at Kanji's lips, and he tucked his hands into his pockets. Well, all that thinking on an empty stomach ain't gonna do you much good. Feeling up for some takoyaki? Something light to leave room for dinner, on the off chance that Narukami had the energy to cook. Akechi nodded. That sounds lovely, actually. And so they found themselves at the GNS food court, having claimed an empty table. While Akechi sat and updated his notes, Kazi walked off to fetch their delectable spoils. Night 7. Yukio Amagi appeared in a poofy pink princess outfit outside a European-style castle beneath a rippling red and black sky. She acted brazenly out of character, going on about hunting for hot studs and her desire for a harem of all things. She disappeared to the castle as the feed ended, with no sign of monsters or carnage to speak of. The following night, I learned from Narukami that there are beings within this TV world that represents the dark side of ourselves. Could this be the true nature of that Princess Yukio Amagi? Okay, got the goods, Kazi said, sliding Akechi's takoyaki and chopsticks over before he seated himself across the table. Thank you. Akechi set his pen and notepad down, grabbing the first little bottle of octopus goodness and plopping it in his mouth. Oh. Now, to recap. Yesterday, we tried to make sense of Amagi-san who appeared on the Midnight Channel. Well, thanks to a verbal slip from Narukami-san, I think I may have an inkling to what she truly is. Kazi's brows knitted together, his lips pulled to one side of his face. You're saying that like she's a whole different person. It's entirely possible that she is. He took another takoyaki piece and popped it in his mouth, perhaps a bit more flourish than necessary. Last night, Narukami-san asked me something very strange. He asked if I'd be able to face a part of me that I hate. He spoke of my darkest emotions as if they were their own being. What, like some kind of evil twin? Perhaps not evil. If I had to hazard a guess, she may represent some form of repressed emotions. Amagi-san seemed troubled by the prospect of inheriting a family inn. The news reporters hounded her about it. Sure, but what's that got to do with her being, Kazi cut his hands and made a freaky bizarre gesture around his chest, with burning pink chinks. Kazi smirked. Yes, Kazi-san, women often develop breasts. That's not what I mean! I mean the whole scoring a hot stud and He gulped, bending over at the table. Come on, don't make me say that stuff out loud. The elevator door banged. Perhaps the youth group was on the way. In anticipation of this, Akechi raised the volume of his voice. It's likely some part of Maki-san craves a man's embrace. Perhaps she's the princess in an ivory tower, waiting for her knight in shining armor to whisk her away. Footsteps closed in from behind. Then came Chie's shrill, squeaky voice. Okay, how did you put all that together? You and Yosuke closed the distance within seconds. Just the audience Akechi was hoping for. So he casually grabbed a sensually and devoured the next piece of takoyaki. Then he turned sideways in his chair. It's elementary, my dear Chie-san. We simply took note of Amaki's uncharacteristic behaviors on the Midnight Channel and conjunction with the events leading up to her disappearance, on terms of media literacy, and our comics own words to reach the most reasonable conclusion. Kazi straightened slightly, but still kept his head low and eyes on his neck. Yeah, what he said. Yosuke sneered. Tch, smart ass. I appreciate the compliment, Hanamura-san. Akechi's smirk only grew. In fact, if only out of spite. It's quite interesting. A manifestation of one's inner psyche. If that's what awaits on the other side, I wonder what secrets your hearts hold. Chie shivered, tugging at one of her sleeves. Oh, it's nothing huge. We worked it out all yesterday. Yep, everything's totally fine. Yosuke pushed Chie slightly. Hey, don't give him ideas. A deep frown cut across Yu's face, and he stepped forward. About last night. Akechi propped his cheek up with one hand, his smirk still unwavering. Yes, last night, when you assumed I couldn't handle what I've known my entire life. Kazi slid out of his chair, moving to Akechi's side and grabbing his shoulder. Kid, maybe you shouldn't. Hey, it's not as easy as it sounds. Yosuke snapped. Chie went in knowing she had to face her other self, and she still struggled. And she's Chie friggin' Sanaka! Akechi raised an eyebrow, unfazed by his shouting. But you emerged victorious. Today you plan on finishing your rescue, correct? Chie placed her hand on the back of Akechi's chair. How daring. Listen, Akechi-kun. I've been trying to get Yuku to listen up about you. Then that idiot Yosuke had to butt in and say, but we can't afford to play babysitter while Yukio-san's life is on the line. Chie spun around, getting up to his face. Yosuke! He stood his ground scowling. What? It's true, and you know it. Oh. Akechi laughed. Oh, how he laughed. How funny. How amusing. His smirk bent and contorted, crooked tight and probably quite unpleasant. You think I need a babysitter? Ha! You fool. Do you have any idea what hell I endured for the first 12 miserable years of my life? He got out of his chair, approaching Yosuke until Kazi grabbed him and pulled him back. Come on, don't let him get to you. Oh, I won't. Akechi spread his arms in a shrug, shaking his head. If anything, they delivered valuable information. They've proven whatever these other cells are, they can be stopped. Ironically, despite trying to hold Akechi back, Kazi stopped over to Yosuke, looming over him and glaring straight in the eyes. Yeah, well, that's still a low blow. Kid's trying his hardest to be helpful, and here you are, blowing him off! Chie whispered between the two boys, pushing them apart. Okay, can you please just apologize, Yosuke? You too, Yukon. Akechi scoffed. A forced apology is useless to me. They made their feelings quite clear. He returned to the table just long enough to snatch up the remaining takoyaki and his notebook. Then, upon pushing in his chair, he faced the others and said, Well, go on. Save your princess. That's what you came here for, isn't it? He pressed past them, expecting Kazi to do the same. But he lingered. In fact, Kazi got right into Yosuke's personal space and practically exploded. You don't know shit, Hanamura! This kid's barely been scraping by since he was born, but you brush him off because he's younger than you. Or maybe you just want to be a center of attention. Or you're scared of some kid stealing the spotlight. Akechi stopped, fist shaking and fist clenched, face burning red hot. He turned his head away, part over his shoulder. Despite the rage bubbling within him, he managed a fair level, Kazi-san, that's enough! Everyone went quiet. Yosuke backed away. His eyes remained glued open. Knees wobbled. He didn't make a sound. He stood silent, head downcast at Chie. Akechi-kun. She took a small step forward, but Akechi shook his head and continued to the elevator. Left with no other choice, Kazi jogged after him. When he stepped into the elevator, Akechi pounded the lobby button, then slumped against the wall. That self-serving, privileged Hanamura. He thought he was so much better, didn't he? What a joke. The trek to the castle was no easy feat, thanks to Yosuke's outbursts. The entire time, he and Chie passive-aggressively snapped at each other, and you had to keep yelling at them to get their heads on straight and stay focused. Now they stood in a wide-open room, with a huge, armored shadow astride a holding horse's armor. He charged forward, lance extended, but Yosuke sidestepped that lance. See? This is why we can't. Well, you shut up! Tia screamed. Her persona, Tomoe, appeared before her, lunging forward, skewering the adventured knight. You went way too far this time, Yosuke! So meters back, Tay whimpered, guys, don't you think we should be fighting the shadow? We're all on the same side here. Yosuke ignored Tay's pleas outright, sending Jiraiya hurtling towards the vastly armored foe. Hey, I didn't think Sasuke would use Jiraiya. Who does Tatsumi think he is? We're the ones putting our lives on the line here. He looked at you rather expectantly. Right, partner? You didn't even try to humor him. Instead, he shut his eyes, exhaling slowly. Ouroboros, he called, and in Usagi's place, a maroon, bipedal horse persona descended and thrust its hands out. A fiery explosion overtook the adventured knight, and its whole body spasmed as the searing heat before collapsing on the floor. Down. Just what they needed. You adjusted his glasses. Let's just get this over with. You barreled forward, sword drawn. Chie and Yosuke stared a look. Then Chie groaned and bolted ahead, with Yosuke scrambling behind her. What should have been a coordinated three-pronged assault splintered as Chie pushed Yosuke between kicks and punches. Yosuke whined and complained when he should have been stabbing and slashing. Though Yu kept his slicing onslaught, the lack of focus allowed the adventured knight to shudder back in the air and swiped his lance out, sending them all flying. They hit the wall, sliding down to the floor. Teddy hurried toward them, eyes wide and body troubled. Guys, come on! I can't bear to see you like this! Yukio's voice echoed hauntingly throughout the chamber. But that kid, he was trapped, just like me. I know that I'm lucky, but I can't imagine what he lived through. But he got whisked away by a dark night. Will someone please save me too? The adventured knight raised his lance over his head. A surge of energy washed over its hovering form. Not a good sign. Yosuke got up first, clutching his ribs. He turned to Chie, frowned. Here, Chie. Jiraiya appeared beside her, watching her with warm, blue-green energy. Thanks. She got back on her feet. Heads up, you kid! Tomoe rematerialized, thrust her palm out at you. Energy burst beneath Yu's feet, surging over his head. His muscles tightened, lightning raced through his veins. The jolt power of Chie's Tarukata was just the boost he needed. He got up, straightened his glasses, and marched forward with Ouroboros on his side. Teddy's right. We won't get anywhere if we're at each other's throats. Flames ignited at his persona's fingertips. So ready to give it another shot? Another fiery plume consumed the Avenger Knight. Chie and Yosuke stared a quick look, nodding at each other. Then finally, all three of them rushed in, their kicks, punches, stabs, slashes, and thrusts striking in perfect sync. When the dust settled, the Avenger Knight went limp. Its towering body bubbled and melted into black goop until nothing remained. Silence fell over the room, save for the sounds of panting, as everyone took a moment to catch their breaths. The squeaky sound of Teddy's footsteps closed in from behind, and when you turned around, you found the bear awkwardly tapping his fingers together. So, what's wrong? You guys have been acting very weird since you got here. It's nothing, Yosuke said, crossing his arms and looking the other way. Like hell it's nothing! T.A. stumped closer, her face fixed into a glare. You just told a kid who lives through who knows what kind of crap there, like he's a burden. Like, I get that he talks big, Yosuke, but you should have been the bigger person back there. Then what do we do? Drag him here, hope he learns fast, and stall Yukio's rescue? Of course not. Yukio's my best friend. You know I want to bust her out of here ASAP. Then what are you trying to say, Chie? Teddy glanced down between the two, scratching his head. Like Teddy, you remain quiet, simply watching for now. Chie continued, I'm saying we should be trying to help the kid, so he stops feeling like he's gotta compete with us. Come on, Chie, this isn't a game. We're dealing with a friggin' serial killer. You shouldn't even want to be a part of this. Well, too bad! Chie grumbled and huffed, her puffed-up cheeks making her look like a hamster in human form. Like it or not, he's gotten himself involved. Yosuke handed a huge gravelly slice, something over. So the kid got smart with us. You mouthed out playing at times. It's Saki, senpai. Yosuke clasped his arms even tighter, gripping at the fabric of his sleeves. Her death was personal to me, Chie. He didn't know her like I did, and he knew it was going to happen. You finally said. You hated how he mouthed off at us back then. Couldn't stand how he tried to order us to go back. In the end, he was proven right. Yosuke nodded slowly. And he knew about Yukio-san. He's been tracking this whole case from the sidelines. Feels like he's doing it just to spy us, when we're the ones who have to deal with the consequences. Yosuke, you caught the hand on his shoulder. That's not all there is there? Yosuke wilted at the touch. Yeah, it's the fact some snarky Millscore was smarter. He figured out so much without setting foot in the TV. And if I just paid more attention, then maybe Saki-senpai would still be here. Toweling over the two of them, Tei said, "This is one of the people who found out about this world, right? He's not the murder guy?" "I doubt it," you said. "But yeah, his name's Akechi. And he was there the night I first discovered my power." Tei squinted and rubbed his chin super dramatically. So this Akechi kid wants to visit?" "He wants to join us. Or did, anyway." "But you make it sound like he wants to be here." "Yeah, but now he's convinced I'm his rival." It was now Yu's turn to slouch, his gaze distant. "It's my fault. I tried to talk him out of it, but it just made things worse." "Guess we all kind of screwed up, huh?" Yosuke cracked a weak smile and ran a hand through his hair. "We barely know this place, and here we are, acting like pros." "I still don't get it," said Terry. "But the best thing we can do for each other is to try to work side by side. You keep butting heads like what happened with that scary night guy. How are you going to save Yuki-chan?" "Right. This isn't about our egos." Yosuke relaxed, bringing his head to his hip. "Sorry, Chie. You too, Adibo." Chie pouted. "You owe me a huge steak after all this." "Cool, I'm in." You winked. "I like mine rare." "Guess I can't convince you to go for the takoyaki, huh?" "Nope, steak platter or bus," Chie jabbed Yosuke with her elbow. "Now come on, Yukio's waiting for us." "Right. One thing at a time. They could worry about Akechi and Kanji once Yukio was safe and sound." Akechi wound his left arm back, sending a flat rock skipping across the Samagawa River. He liked to imagine that rock is Yusuke. Every little rock he'd thrown thus far was Yosuke Hanamura. Seated beside him, Kanji scooped up a rock of his own, launching it like a cannonball across the river's surface. "Damn smug-ass Hanamura. I don't care if he's my senpai. Got a lot of nerve treating you like that." Akechi drew his knees up to his chest, resting his right arm over the top as a makeshift cushion for his chin. "I'm used to disrespect. It's been my entire life." "Yeah, well, to hell with that!" Kanji sent another rock flying, kicking up huge splashes along the way. "What do they know anyway? Hanamura slips in with his pops and runs Junas, and the whole town goes gaga for it. He's got it made, while you—" A bigger stone hit the wire, then after a few skips, sank like a rock. "I bet the only suffering he's known is boredom." Akechi finished for him. "Well, that and the loss of Konishi-san." As much as he disliked Yosuke, his heart hadn't crumbled out yet. Kanji nodded. "I do feel sorry about that. But why's he gotta take a kid out like you?" Huh. That was an interesting way to interpret Yosuke's actions. Do you think he's projecting? "Could be. I mean, you said you tried to warn him, right? So I don't know. Maybe he sees you as an outlet." Kanji picked up another rock, but didn't throw it just yet. "You have been pretty competitive." "I'm always competitive." Kanji scooped up another rock in his left hand, pulled back and let it soar. "I've had to be in order to get by." The rock triumphantly splashed across the river as it bounced across the surface. Kanji whistled at the sight. "Guess that checks out. When the world's already decided you're going nowhere fast, probably makes you want to scream in their faces." "I want to be seen." Akechi stood up, staring down at his own reflection. "I want to be noticed, not because I'm pitiable, but because I'm worth seeing." "Well, for what it's worth, I see ya." Kanji gave him a thumbs up. "And if they can't, maybe they gotta get their eyes checked." Akechi climbed onto the stone platform that formed a makeshift dock. He looked at the clear blue sky, as if challenging it to look back. "I know, but I'm greedy. I want the world to see me, Kanji-san. I want everyone to know that Goro Akechi has crawled out of the pits of hell. He has survived, and now it's his turn to thrive." "Oh yeah? Maybe you ought to make some noise. Scream it out, so they got no choice but to listen." What a silly idea. And yet, Akechi spread his arms, palms up, and cackled. "Oh, in that case, time to take a deep breath and let it all out. You hear that, world? I'm Goro Akechi, the bastard son you thought you could crush beneath the hearthburns of reality. Now my will is tempered with steel. With it, I'll carve my own future. No one, not Yosuke Hanamura, not you Narakami, nor even Shido shall stop me from pursuing the truth. He does his pointing finger up towards the rolling clouds. You'll have to drag me kicking and screaming to the grave before I even consider giving up. That was all so stupid, so goofy. What was he doing? Making such a passionate, over-the-top, bombastic speech. Channeling his inner masked hero, perhaps, with a hot-blooded, passionate soliloquy. Oh, and the laughter that followed. Breathless, raw, and almost feral. Despite the absurdity of it all, Kazi rose to his feet and pumped his fist in the air. Hell yeah! We got badass in the making! Wow. Okay then. Akechi turned around and said, Me? A badass? Oh, it was flattering, to be sure. Akechi wouldn't even say it was wrong. Hey, you got a lot of fire burning inside you, and plenty of brains to go around. All you really need is the right outlet. Kazi tapped his chin, then snapped his fingers. Say, if those assholes don't believe in you, then maybe we gotta prove you can handle whatever place chucks your way. And how would I do that exactly? Kazi bumped his knuckles together. Easy. We toughen up your body so you got brains and blood on your side. Kazi was a formidable individual, built like an ox, and completely confident if his previous reputation was anything to go by. Akechi, on the other hand, he looked down at his own body. While he regained some weight lost under those reflectful monsters they called foster parents, he hardly was compared to Kazi's build. It's been a while since I've fought anyone. Sheesh, you done it before? Self-defense. The scrape by in dangerous spats. Especially during the times when other children tried to impose themselves upon me at school, or in those wretched homes. Akechi shook his head. It was in the past. Things were better now. But you're right. And when I face an unknown reality, I should hone more than just my mind. He took a few steps, then hunched down for his perch. So I assume this is a formal invitation? Yep, I got your back no matter what those shitheads think, Kazi grinned. But it ain't gonna happen overnight. You'll have to work for it. As I said, I'm competitive. What's another challenge at this point? You got real guts, you know that? Kazi adjusted his posture to a relaxed, open pose, with his arms out slightly, palms facing up. Now give me your best punch. Well, that was sudden. Starting now. I want to see what I'm working with. Well, if you insist. Kazi took a step back, then rushed forward, pulled his left arm back, and then Kazi caught his fist before it connected. Okay, now, how are you going to get out of... Wham! Kazi slammed his knee into Kazi's gut, knocking him back and pulling his fist free. Kazi stumbled, but caught himself smirked, all the while rumbling his stomach. Huh, surprised you didn't go for the balls. Akechi smirked right back. If this was a real fight, I would. Good, you already know a thing or two. After rubbing his stomach a bit longer, Kazi straightened his stance. So how's this? We can work through some basic self-defense moves today. I pick up some hand weights, start meeting up after school to get a routine going. Well, it's not as though I'm in any clubs. I'll inform Dojima-san you're training me for safety purposes. I'm sure he'll accept it without a second thought. Cool, then we got a plan. Kazi fell silent, hesitating for a moment. So, you feeling any better? Considering I have a tangible goal to work with? Absolutely. But you're still itchy to go to that TV world. Naturally. But what that will require me to attain that power? A task for another day. For now, I believe you had some moves to teach me. Right, then let's take it from the top. Heat and flame engulfed the throne room. Smoke billowed into the air. Down below, Yosuke used that strange spirit, Jiraiya, to cut through the smoke of the swirling breeze. Shouldn't he be using Orochimaru? Yukio could only watch from a dangling cage, gripping the bars and fighting back tears. From a larger cage, fixed to a chandelier, a blood-red harpy, with a twisted facility of her face shrieked, and sent her perch swinging forward. Yu, Chie, and Yosuke all scattered to avoid the shadow's knife-like talons. Was this Yukio's fault? She remembered her shadow's phone, mocking her words. Historic inn, manager training. I'm sick of all these things chaining me down. I never asked to be born here. Everything's decided for me, from how I live to where I die. I'm so sick of it. The hell with it all. I want to open a gun shop in Chicago. Ha! It's a shame none of you people watched enough Gunsmith Cats to get that joke. You should, it's awesome. How funny she ended up like this. She'd be warned by that boy, and still she dropped her guard. She answered the door alone, and then, she whimpered as she strained to piece together the hazy details and failed. Darren's shadow twisted her swan-like neck and gazed at Yukio with unblinking cold eyes. Isn't it sad? You met someone who broke free from his cage. But it didn't matter in the end, did it? You were powerless. You always been powerless. The shout beat his wings, scattering flames with each flap. From one person to another, you'll never be free. You chuckled Chie, sending him rolling across the floor. Then he cried out, Valkyrie! A dual-wielding warrior woman atop a whinnying steed appeared, smothering the raging shadow of a violent blizzard. Chie's own Tomoe stepped in, combining her own icy flurries with the strange caped woman. And the combined icy assault encased the shadow in icy crystals and sent it toppling to the floor. Yosuke chanted, Now's our chance! Chi, on the other hand, glanced between the frozen shadow and Yukio's cage. You two focus on the shadow. I'll grab Yukio! Chie. Yukio placed a hand on her heart, tears welling in her eyes. Even after everything that Shao said, she was still willing to rush to Yukio's side. The two boys nodded, then charged for the attack, Tomoe hovering above her. Chie stormed through the lingering flames. Yukio, I'm sorry! Yukio gasped, gazing down at her wide-eyed friend. Sorry? What for? I never realized how he really felt. While the boys slashed, stabbed, and jabbed, Chie moved closer. This whole time, I thought you had everything. Your looks, your status. You're practically a celebrity here. And I guess I never realized how much that sucked. She looked up at Tomoe, and then slipped her arm out. The persona responded by mirroring Chie's movements, encasing the cage's chain with ice. Then she skewered it with her spear. The chains immediately snapped. The cage plummeted down, but Tomoe dived in, caught it in mid-fall, and set it gently on the ground. Yukio stood petrified for the next several seconds. It all happened so fast. For a fleeting moment, it almost seemed like she would have fallen to her death. The TA closed the distance between the two of them, pried the cage door open, and extended her hand. Everyone thinks they know your future, but if you ask me, that's a little crap! Yukio's shadow, once a phoenix-like beast, molted all her feathers as her body shrank down. Wings became arms, her neck shortened to its original length. The remaining feathers returned to her poofy princess dress. And though the shadow rose to a sitting position, she made no sudden moves. Chie placed both her hands on Yukio's shoulders once she had pulled out of her cage. But I want to make one thing clear. You're not weak. If anything, you're tough as hell for putting up with all those expectations this whole time. But I keep telling myself you needed me because, well, it made me feel like I had one thing you didn't. And it's not fair to you. Chie. Yukio pulled into her brace as the flames around him slowly died down. Glittering snowflakes showered over the battlefield, and a comforting chill replaced their once scathing heat. It's not your fault. I can't expect those around me to solve my problems. I suppose it's just easier to keep those feelings buried inside than accept I was unhappy. We know the feeling, said Yosuke. Trust me. We all went through this song and dance already. I didn't, you said with a smirk, and Yukio could tell it was meant in jest. Same here, said that funny bear creature. Yosuke grunted, scowling at the two of them. Guys, come on! You're ruining the mood! Oh, but goodness, Yukio snorted. They giggled, said, At least they're being honest. Yu smirked softened into a genuine smile. He had turned to her with one hand on his hip. All jokes aside, I get it. Sometimes it is easier to just ignore your problems than take the right steps to confront them. He looked away, sighing, as more snowflakes showered over the scorched throne room. Breaking away from the hug, Yukio frowned. But it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. Expectations, responsibilities. Being the better person's tough. Yukio eyed the toppled cage. But still, this was a cage of my own making. She breathed in, slow and deep, and Chie grabbed her hand. The Sapporo squeak made all the difference. You got this, Yukio. Thank you, Chie. This was it then. All she had to do was take the first step and keep moving on. Chie in the distance. In the end, the shadow was just a part of her, after all. So, you want to be whisked away, but that's not something we can expect others to do for us. Why don't we work together to make our dream come true? She held out her hand, smiling despite the lingering scorch marks that stained the floor around them. A happy ending. It's all I really want. The shadow nodded and accepted Yukio's hand. Then the strangest thing happened. A sudden warmth flooded Yukio's body, while the shadow burst into a blue glow and transformed, not into a monstrous harpy, but a graceful woman with a floral pink mask, wings made of elongated sakura petals attached to her wrists, and a pink and white gown with a heart over her chest. Konohana Sakia. The name echoed in her mind. With courage to face yourself, you finally awakened to my true form. I am thou, thou art I. And for those of you who are keeping track with the mythology references and such that Persona loves to do with the personas that are given, Konoha Sakia is the goddess of Mount Fuji. Speaking of which, Chie's persona is based off of Tomoe Gozen, a female samurai during the time of the Genpei War. After fighting in the Battle of Awazu, it is unclear what happened to her. Due to the number of stories about how her life went and the lack of proof of her existence, she has become a thing of legends. You are welcome. I hope you feel smarter. Then just as swiftly disappeared, Yukio's persona vanished. Her legs wobbled. Before she could fall, however, Chie rushed beside her and held her steady. Easy there, Yukio. I gotcha. Yukio couldn't help but laugh, gentle and soft, and how swiftly Chie rushed to the rescue. See? Sometimes I do need her. Slowly, her gaze drifted to the others. All of you came here to save me, didn't you? I'm sorry for any trouble I caused. Oh, for crying out loud, Yukio, kiss her already! You know, Trixie, normally I'm the one who does the random Yuri jokes. Trixie doesn't know what came over her. Oh, what are you apologizing for? Yosuke said with a smirk. Not like you meant to get kidnapped. But I knew it was coming, and I didn't take it seriously. Yeah, I feel that. Yosuke winced, rubbing his neck. We should really apologize when we get the chance. I'll talk to him, you said. Glanced over his coarse surroundings, his lips tugged to a frown. I just hope he'll listen. Yukio couldn't claim to understand everything that had gone on between you and that poor boy. All the same, she said, just be patient. I'm sure it's not too late to make amends. Upon returning home, Akechi took to the living room couch and got to work with the small handweights Kanji brought him. As he lifted and flexed, Nanako leaned over the arm of the couch and watched him closely. Those make you stronger, right? That's the plan, Nanako-chan. Free from the stress brought on by Yosuke and idiotic remarks, Akechi offered a soothing, warm smile and spoke in an equally soft tone. Amazing what a little time alone with her could do. Kazi-san has really taken me under his tutelage, so I could reach my full potential and keep you safe. It wasn't a lie, really. While the purpose of the training was to equip him for TV world, strength training had practical purposes even in reality. Nanako's wide-eyed wonder only intensified, further melting through the walls around Akechi's heart. That girl was going to be the end of him one day, and oddly, didn't even mind. Of course, someone has to be here for you when the adults aren't around. She pulled herself onto the armrest, dangling her legs over the edge. If I train a team, we can protect each other. Just promise me you'll stay out of trouble, all right? You're practically the heart of this household. Her thoughts were in the right place, and he hardly wanted to pull another Kami, but even so, your heart, this is really important. It's very important. Akechi set one of the weights down, just long enough to ruffle her hair. How funny. Actual affection coming from him. What had this girl done to him? No matter what happens between me and Narukami-san, or how long your father works, you're the one constant we have to look forward at the end of the day. Was that a bit too much? She fell silent for several seconds and then slid onto the cushions beside Akechi. There was a small gap between them. She didn't wriggle in too close, but she didn't want to. She didn't say. Instead, she gazed at the front door. I wish Dad was enough something. It was really nice having him here more, but now his work's more important. Ah. But why can't Mama make time for me, Lala-chan? Why is it always those awful men who hurt her? Does she really want to be hurt? Her large, calloused hand had gently brushed over his head. Oh, honey, your mother's doing all of this so she can support you. Even then, in the sadness of her eyes, grabbed at Ketsy's attention. For as long as he was, even he could sense that she wished he could stay. But it wasn't wrong to offer words of support. In a way, he did ring true. Perhaps it was just as applicable here as this lonely girl. It's not that it's more important now to John. I think it's because he cares that he works so hard, and considering the incompetence of his peers, mostly Adachi, I suspect he carries a lot of weight on the force.
Was Kelly helping me in the house?
Yes, but now you have extra hands to help you with the household chores. Your father may not be so lucky. One night, when Akechi came home from the bathhouse, he found his mother collapsed on the couch. Her hair splayed out on the pillow, lipstick smudged on her face. Her neck was covered in marks. Looking back, they were almost certainly Hickey's. Not wanting to disturb her, Akechi tried to blanket over her.
Mama.
He shut his eyes, breathing in. He had to keep it together. Nanako moved closer, placing her hand over his. She must have known something was amiss.
Your dad has to deal with the dangerous people all the time.
Was this how Narukami felt? He really was a hypocrite for wanting her to stay here, safe and sound, while you expected him to stay out of danger. Ketsu firmly opposed it. It was just another way he expressed his love for you in this community.
You need to.
Perhaps. Though love felt awfully strong. When Ketsu had only lived here for a few weeks. He certainly cares, no doubt about that. At least now it was easier to accept. Enough time had passed where this life felt less like a dream destined to shatter. It was comfortable, consistent, even with Yu's irritating behavior and the threat of his murders. No home had ever felt so whole. I guess he continued his exercises for a bit more, while Nanako watched her favorite Buchimaru cartoon. Eventually, he sat down beside her to chip away at some of his homework. After some time, the door slid open, and Yu finally returned, this time without those suspicious glasses masking his face. Right away, Nanako hopped off the couch and rushed over to greet him.
Okay.
Hey, Yu quietly moved to the kitchen. Why do I get dinner started? Nanako followed after him. Sure thing, Nanako. Getty sighed loudly, and Nanako turned around, frowning.
What's wrong?
Just saying, frustrating prop. Akechi lied to his teeth. Please don't worry. On the open fridge, you peered at Akechi, then returned to grabbing ingredients. Curry sound good tonight? Do what you will. Akechi turned the page, and Amaki-san? She's a little tired, but I think she'll be alright. So they did it. They rescued Yu-Gi-Oh! Amaki from the depths of the TV world. Akechi's breath hitched, and he shut his eyes, once again grasping for some semblance of composure. Nanako gasped,
You found her?
more like she found us. Guess he could tell you hadn't told the full truth. Perhaps he minced his words to avoid probable suspicion from Dejima. That's good to hear. Guess he finally rasped. It wasn't a lie. This was good. Once again, he sat on the sidelines. The sound of clatter filled the kitchen as you and Nanako fetched the necessary pots, pans, and ingredients. You tossed the vegetables while the rice cooked, and Nanako fetched the spices as you listed them out. They worked so cohesively. Huh. Not like Akechi could be much use in the kitchen tonight. He had better things to do. This was fine. Wasn't even supposed to stay around you anyway. Especially in light of what transpired earlier that day. Akechi finished his assignments before long, and in time, you brought the bowls of curry to the table. As he sat down to eat, you eyed Akechi's weights in front of the couch. Huh, that's new. Kaji-san brought them for me. We're going to be training together. Akechi's words were sharp and snappy. You remained calm despite this. Looking to bulk up? I will prove that myself one way or another. This was all Akechi had in him to say before he focused on devouring his meal. This was not a conversation to have over dinner anyway. Alas, it seemed that even the slight friction on display left Nanako uneasy. She looked between the two of them and said,
Are you mad at each other?
It's nothing serious, Nanako-chan. Akechi really had to strain himself to force a smile. Just a difference of opinion. The door opened again. Nanako dropped her spoon and hugged her feet.
He's home!
Kenzie looked up and it just wasn't Dojima who stumbled through the door, but his lanky, gangly idiot of a partner. You brought Adachi-san with you? Jesse tried speaking with a light, curious tone and a tilt of the head, but the simmering disdain was hard to restrain.
Yeah, we got off work at the same time, Tajima said. Figure I'd check in on your kids before I drop this knucklehead back home.
Damn, I should have made some curry, you said, but Adachi waved his hand oh so casually. Oh, no biggie. I don't want to oppose. He paused. Oh, but good news. We found Miss Amagi. Were you supposed to be protecting her? Akechi almost growled. Adachi winced. Yeah, my bad. Akechi stood up, glowering. You're bad? That's what you had to say? First Miss Yamano and now Akechi! Kazima cut him off, moving further through the house.
I understand your frustration, but this is out of your hands.
Akechi sunk back down in his pillow, hollowing his gaze. My apologies, Toshima-san. I find it worrying that more was done to assure Maki-san's safety. No, that's on me, said Adachi. To tell the truth, I only stuck around long enough to get some follow-up answers and left the risk to Amagi and the employees. Since all we have to go off was a hunch, there wasn't a whole lot we could do.
It was a good hunch, I'll admit.
Toshima sat on the way to the kitchen.
I still don't know how you pulled it off.
Adachi turned, smiling shamelessly. Detective's intuition?
You're no detective yet, kid.
Still, that earned a small chuckle as he disposed of a bowl of curry.
Just don't get the wrong idea. I meant what I said about you staying out of this.
And if I hear or see anything suspicious,
You can tell me, but that's it.
Kojima glanced at you for good measure.
That goes double for you.
Gotcha. You took a few more bites before speaking again. So, is Yukio doing okay? Yeah, just a little wiped out. Dachi flopped on the couch, head back and legs spread out. Looked ridiculous. Still, talk about weird. Jennifer must be real slick, because she couldn't remember what they looked like, where they kept her, or even on his way toward the kitchen, Dojima whacked him without even spilling his food.
Stop blabbering, dumbass.
Akechi smirked. Leaking confidential information to civilians. I'm surprised he hasn't docked your pay.
Oh, I will if he keeps this up.
Tajima glared at Adachi, who just kept rubbing his cheek.
What about the cabbages?
Nanako asked. Oh, have mercy, Dojima-san. Adachi stood up, doing an exaggerated brow. I'll sleep up. Starting now, I'm going hard boil. Akechi laughed. You? Hard boil? Now this I had to see. Thankfully, even with Adachi present, dinner passed, decently enough, though Tajima didn't need to share his portion of the curry with his partner. I guess he supposed it was only fair. That idiot was living off of cabbage and instant ramen. To use more robust cooking was probably like nectar from the gods by comparison. Eventually, Nanako headed up to bed, and Akechi soon followed. The day was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. With training starting tomorrow after school, he needed all the rest he could get. Even after Akechi and Nanako went up to bed, he remained in the living room, lying down on the couch and absently flipping through the channels. He heaved a huge sigh. Akechi's coldness was to be expected. That encounter at Junis pushed things way too far. No small thanks to Yosuke's outburst. He should have been happy. Yukio was safe, and he still had time for the next vlog. But the sting from last night's argument still lingered. You act like this doesn't concern me. You just assume I'm too weak. What did you really know about Goro Akechi? He was an orphan. Sure, a kid who fell on bad time, whose mother was a sex worker, and who harbored deep resentful feelings as a result of a tough life. But that was it. Everything else remained locked within that safe of his heart. The door opened. Footsteps followed.
Still up?
Ah, Toshima was back. He strenuously sat up, resting his hands on his lap. Yeah, I'm just a bit restless. Toshima sat at the kitchen table, rubbing his forehead.
Guess I can't blame you. You're friends with that Magi girl, right?
You nodded. That's not the only problem. It's Akechi.
What about him?
Things have been rough between us. A Junis commercial played. How right, given what happened earlier. He's been trying really hard to make me take him seriously.
How's the slack? He's had it rough.
Yeah, but he acts so competitive, even when he doesn't have to. Even when you tried to lighten the mood with silly jokes, treating the home-cooked meals, and Shelley tried to be open to compromise as he could, it didn't ease the tension whenever they were alone together. What was he supposed to do? Where was he supposed to start? Sometimes, sure, it almost seems like they got along, but those moments were fleeting. Then it was right back to square one.
You can see that he probably can't.
Tajima gazed across the room at the foot of the stairs.
Carl's never had any stability in his life. His mother committed suicide, and he's cycled through foster homes ever since. Add that to years of abuse and neglect, and of course he's going to be combative.
Suicide. This silenced you. He knew Akechi had problems. It wasn't hard to guess that his mother had died. But this. A life in the red light district. A mother who scraped by, selling her body to make ends meet, until she couldn't handle it anymore. How was her kid supposed to live with the guilt, knowing that his own mother couldn't live with him? And now he has to share a room with me. It made sense now. Akechi barely knew stability before. This was genuinely a good home, and you walked in, impeding what was supposed to be the first ever space he had for himself. And to top it all off, you kept pushing him away. Kept telling him he couldn't play a part of something he cared about.
Shishima said, "Yeah, the kid's got trust issues. Since you're a blood relative, he probably feels threatened."
Ugh, made sense, it really did. What if Akechi got tossed around city homes before landing here? No question that sucked, but what can I do to fix that?
Just be patient with him. Try your best to set a good example, even if he's being abrasive. I'm not saying you have to be best friends, but at least try to show you can compromise.
Compromise? What would that even mean? Taking Akechi to the TV world while there weren't any known victims? That'd still be unpredictable. But now they did have a full team of Persona users. Still, Cobra could strike at any time. Would Akechi even want to use help? When he was so set on figuring things out for himself? Yeah, that was the real problem. He rested his elbows against his thighs, start rubbing circles in his temples. What if he doesn't want to compromise?
Tsushima tried. Then at least you can say you tried. Sometimes that's the best you can hope for.
Yeah, maybe if I was Kazi, could it be easier? I don't know how he does it.
Word of advice. Don't compare yourself to a kid who called in as a piece of guardians.
Right. No way I can compete with that. That was life-changing behavior. An unconditional act of kindness after a life of pain and neglect. Compared to that, a few meals were nothing. Dojima thankfully dragged you out of self-induced pity.
But this isn't a competition, you. Kazi's just got seniority.
You cracked a half smile. And here I thought I was the senpai.
Now where that kid's concerned,
But hey, Dojima just smiled back. That joke must have landed. You fell back against the cushions, though, feeling the weight of the day crashing down. No kidding. Kazi's already planning on training him. Did you see those weights he brought home?
yeah, I saw. Didn't expect a bookworm like him to do straight training. But maybe we'll give him something to latch onto besides the case.
That's another thing. He's really invested. A scowl overtook Dojima's face.
Too impressive, if you ask me.
Maybe he wants to impress you? It makes sense. Dojima wanted Akechi's life and gave him a home, a family, a place to belong. Staying here was kind of enough gesture for you. But for a boy who obviously been so crushed, he put walls around himself? One was surprised that Dojima had wedged himself through the cracks. Probably. The air of resignation in Dojima's voice, coupled with his dropped posture, probably didn't convey confidence, though.
Wouldn't surprise me if he thinks he has to earn his keep somehow.
But that's unhealthy. Why should any kid have to work for a pension?
It's probably what he's used to, when you consider his mother.
He slapped the palm over his face. Man, I'm such an idiot.
Of course you're an idiot. Dojima snickered. I was too when I was your age.
Wow, thanks.
Hey, nothing to be ashamed of, as long as you work past it.
Yeah, that was unavoidable at this point. If things kept going the way they were now, there was a high chance of catching get in trouble, and it'd be Yu's fault for pushing him so hard. He offered to help, was eager to be a part of their team, only for you to say the wrong words and burn the framework for the bridge between them. He had to set this right. He had to be better. I'll try, Uncle. It was all you could do. No telling if he succeeded, but it was better than letting things fester and rot. Dojima nodded, then reached for the newspaper.
Good. Now get some sleep before I have to haul you up there myself.
All right, I gotcha. You rolled down to his feet and dragged himself to the stairway. Night, Dojima-san. Thanks for the talk. You crept quietly through the hall, not wanting to disturb Nanako's slumber. When he finally poked his head in his and Akechi's shared room, He found Akechi fast asleep, almost completely submerged in his blankets. He turned to the other side, pulling the blankets even tighter. Mama, I'll make you proud. Oh, you slipped into the room quietly, not wanting to rouse him from his dreams.